Good afternoon, everyone. This is Samiran Gupta. I hope you can hear me clearly.
You're audible clearly.
Okay, Adarsh, firstly, thank you so much for inviting me for this very important, initiative, the Internet Society Rural Development SIG, and I appreciate being part of this first meeting. And first, I'd like to, give my greetings to those who are in the room. So, Adarsh, you had asked me to talk about, ICANN and what we do, and I have a brief presentation, a slide presentation. And if you could just roll that, please, that would be very good. So can I control the slides that you've put on?
Sorry, you can also control slides. You can also share the screen.
Okay. No, then I'll just let you, if you can just continue with controlling the slides, that'll be better. Okay.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
So let's go to slide 2, please. Slide 2. Yeah. So just wanted to share very briefly. Some of you may have seen this, information in the past, but essentially, what this is showing is that half the world's population is now connected to the internet. And as Amrita was speaking before me, the technology around the internet was developed in the late, the development work started in the late 60s, but it got standardized in the 80s. And the Internet Engineering Task Force was really the place where a lot of this work took place. The reason I like to show this slide is for people to understand that this is one piece of technology that has bound the world together so effectively, and it's truly a technology of our lifetimes, and therefore, it is important to understand how best to make this grow, how best to make sure that more and more people across the world, and especially in the context of the rural communities across the world, can join and be connected. Adarsh, next slide, please. So, and just to give you a sense of what the internet means in terms of contribution to the economy in different parts of the world. Again, there are some numbers from different regions. And if we look at the Asia Pacific region, as of 2014, the mobile industry contributed 1.1 trillion to the APAC economy in 2014, for example, and which was equivalent to 4.7% of the region's GDP. Adarsh, if you can just scroll up a little bit, there is some information at the bottom of the slide. Yes, thank you. So specific to India, there's a study by ICANN which says that a 10% increase in internet subscribers result in an increase of 2.4% in the growth of state per capita GDP in India. So this is the power of the internet specific to India, and how important it is that the internet continues to reach more and more people, because it is a direct contributor to the economic well-being of the country. Next slide, please, Adarsh. So I'm sure many of you in the room know how the domain name system works, but I'll just go over, there are 2 slides here, but others just roll the next slide, please. This diagram, if somebody says they're not sure of this, I'm very happy to explain this diagram. So I'll just pause for a moment. Otherwise, I'll just continue because I would imagine most people know how this works. Either should I continue or should I explain this slide?
Is it any looking for the explanation? So you can continue.
Okay. So, shall we just move to the next slide then? Right. So, so the key to the domain name system is how it works. The real kind of the technology around the DNS is how when we search something or when we look for some information, how that is fetched from the from the server of the entity that we are looking for information from. But there is a whole network, and the internet, as it is known as the network of networks, it is the structure of the name that is very important. So you may be aware of IP addresses, but it's the namespace that is connected to IP addresses which actually make things happen also. So the dot in let's say google.com, the dot is really the root or the root zone. And in the root zone are everything that exists right of the dot. So .com, .coffee, .bharat, .in, .org, etc. are all part of the root zone. And then on the second level, there is the names such as Google or example, which is really the second level. So what happens is when an information is being searched and the search query actually reaches the root zone, and from where it is directed. Of course, there are technology has evolved, so there are recursive servers, and the information is cached so that it may not need to go to the root zone all the time. But this is the architecture which is followed, and I'm explaining all of this because when we get to the next slide, we will see what ICANN actually does. Adarsh, next slide, please. And the following slide. So essentially, what ICANN does is to coordinate what we call the unique identifiers of the internet. And the unique identifiers include the names, numbers, and protocol parameters. So the names is like a Google, for example, google.com or isoc.org. And numbers would be the IP addresses connected to them. And these are obviously all unique. The IP address of one name is unique, so that there is no duplication. And there are certain protocol parameters and code that goes. And ICANN's job is to really run this DNS system, which includes these elements. And we worked with partners to do this. And if you go to the next slide, others, you will see some of our technical partners. For example, right up on the top left, you see the IETF or the Internet Engineering Task Force. You see APIN, Asia Pacific Network Information Center, and the various other regional internet registries. We also work with the World Wide Web Consortium, IEEE, so on and so forth. Others, should we go to the next slide? We will see that ICANN also works on the policy side with organizations such as ISOC, such as OECD, such as the United Nations, so on and so forth. So essentially, although we are in the technical space, we also ICANN is also the venue and location for a lot of policy discussions related to how IP technology and everything related to the internet works. Next slide, please. So this slide has information of some of the things that ICANN does, but if we really look at the three boxes at the bottom right, which the boxes are in red as opposed to the others, which are in blue, these are the three most critical functions, and they are known as the Internet Assigned Names Authority functions. So essentially, we are the central repository for IP addresses. We help in managing the root zone of the internet, and then we coordinate with the IETF to manage the protocol parameters by maintaining many of the codes and numbers used in the internet protocols. Apart from that, we are involved in policy development. We run one of the 13 root servers, the L instance. We support the country code top level domains such as .in or .br, and we manage the domain name systems top level domains in the generic top level or GTLDs. Okay. Adarsh, next slide, please. So the ICANN ecosystem is really fronted and led by the community, and out of the community comes the board or members of the board. And I work for the ICANN organization, and our role is to act as the secretariat to the community. So our role is not to create policy, but our role is to support the community which creates policies to make sure that those policies are being implemented. Next slide, please. The ICANN community is known as a multi-stakeholder community because, as you can see, whether it's governments, whether it's the technical community, whether it's the end users, whether it is the country code name supporting organizations, all of whom get to work side by side with each other. And this is the most important part and key concept of internet governance. So essentially, there are 7 broad community structures within the ICANN ecosystem, 3 of which are on the left-hand side of the screen and known as supporting organizations, create policies, while 4, which are on the right-hand side of the screen, are actually involved in giving advice on the policy. So, the whole idea is no one entity or no one sort of group of community members have an upper hand. Everybody needs to work together to make policy take place. Next slide, please, Adarsh. Next. So I'm going to talk very briefly about a couple of new developments in the domain name space. So as you may be aware, the number of domain, top level TLDs have gone from 22 to over 1,200 since 2012. Today you have names such as .name, .museum, .paris, and even .geo from India, or .sbi. These are all actual GTLDs that exist. Okay, and this has been a new trend, but now understand, when I was showing you earlier ICANN's role in maintaining the root zone of the internet. Now you can understand that as the numbers of top-level domains or TLDs increase, ICANN's work becomes more and more critical in maintaining what we call the security and resiliency of the internet's root zone. So our focus is to make sure that the DNS continues to work the way it's supposed to. Next slide, please, Adarsh. And then what has also happened while there has been an expansion in the GTLDs, there's also been something new since 2009 called internationalized domain names. For example, .bharat in several scripts, in over 15 scripts, was first created in 2014. And many of these scripts are now usable or are soon getting usable as extensions. There are email services in India, for example, which are available, which use the .bharat extension in different scripts. Next slide, please. And another important item that we are working on these days is called universal acceptance, and that's a very simple premise, but it's very complex when it comes to actually implementation. So that premise is that all domain names should be treated equally. So whether it is something in Cyrillic, the first example in the left-hand side, or the one in the middle, which is in ASCII, or the one on the right, which is, and the one on the extreme left and right are actually not in ASCII, and they're actually in Unicode, but all of them should be resolving when they are being used. But in fact, there are challenges, and this is the challenge of universal acceptance is explained in the next slide, Adarsh. So the key principles of universal acceptance readiness is for any system, whether it's your phone, whether it's your laptop, whether it's your tablet, is to accept, validate, store, process, and display an email or a website exactly the way it is supposed to. In other words, and now let me give you some examples of what that means. When, for example, the new top-level domains were created, many mail servers were not accepting Unicode addresses, so English addresses, for example, which were longer than, let's say, 3 or 4 letters. So, up to .tech, TECH was being accepted, but when you went to .example, the mail server did not accept it. This is one kind. The other kind of example could be that somebody may be writing to you or to me from an email ID which is not in English, and we should be able to receive that email. So these are, I've just given you 2, but there are several kinds of UA readiness example. And if you want to learn more, you can go to uasg.tech to find out and how that is being mitigated. So there's a lot of work going on globally to prevent these problems from taking place and to help people actually get UA ready. Next slide, please, Adarsh. So a study was commissioned, and it was found that there is a unmet opportunity or a missed opportunity of almost $10 billion of internationalized domain names and GTLDs not working properly. In other words, if they actually work properly, and all systems were UA ready, then additional $10 billion of business could be realized. This study is available online. Adarsh, if you scroll a little below, okay, the link is not there, but if you go to the uasg.tech website, you will find the link to the study. And this study can be downloaded and you can see what's going on. I'm now coming to the conclusion of my presentation. So this is a slide, this is some information from a KPMG India study that took place in 2017, which clearly shows the number of English-speaking internet users is slowing down, whereas the numbers of regional language-speaking internet users in India is growing. Now, this is a very clear signal that the internet needs to be available to more and more people, irrespective of what language or what script they use. And this is part of ICANN's mission, not only in India, but everywhere in the world, to make sure that everyone can use the internet more easily. Adarsh, next slide, please. How can you get involved in ICANN? Just like ISOC, Amrita was mentioning that you can sign up and become a member of ISOC globally, and then various chapters. At ICANN, there are various ways to get involved. You can attend an ICANN public meeting. You can start by taking a free online course at learn.icann.org. You can join discussions by joining the mailing list. So you can, the first place to go for any of this is, icann.org or go.icann.org, and just start looking at what's going on. I'm based in New Delhi, India, and I'm very accessible. If any one of you would like to know more, you're most welcome to connect with me. Adarsh can share my contact details with you. Next slide, please, Adarsh. We also have some fellowship programs, fellowship and next gen programs, which is designed towards global capacity building and to support ICANN's multi-stakeholder community. And again, I would encourage those in the room and online to check out these programs and try and join those. They're fairly competitive, but it is really worth an effort to try and do it if you have interest in internet governance. Next slide, Adarsh. I think this is my last slide. It really talks about all the ICANN related activities this year. We've already had one of the 3 public meetings, which was in Kobe, ICANN 64. And the next 2 public meetings are coming up in June and November. And we've also last week had the yearly Global Domain Divisions Industry Summit, or the GDD Industry Summit, along with the ICANN DNS Symposium and a couple of other workshops in Bangkok last week. So we do things, we do a lot of these outreach programs regionally. And again, there are many opportunities to join. With that, I come to the end of my presentation. The next slide just shows you all the different means by which you can connect to ICANN. And once again, if there is a need to connect with me, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be very happy to talk to you. Thank you.